She said she needed an open relationship or the wedding was off. I calmly replied, "Okay, let's do it." So I immediately set up 3 dates with her friends. She was shocked when I actually played her game. My name is Ryan, and I am 32 years old. I am, or I guess I was, engaged to Chloe, who is 30. We have been together for 5 years, and we have been engaged for 1. Our wedding plans were in full swing. We had booked the venue, paid the deposits, and handled all the little details. Everything seemed to be fine. Or so I thought. Last Tuesday, Chloe sat me down for a talk. She looked serious, which is not unusual for her when she wants to discuss something important. But the feeling in the room was off. "Look," she began, fiddling with a coaster on the coffee table. "I've been doing a lot of thinking about us, about what I need." I waited for her to continue. My mind raced through all the possibilities. Maybe she had cold feet. Maybe there was a problem with her family. "I need more," she finally said. "More experiences, more freedom. Before we get married, I need us to have an open relationship. If we can't do that, then I don't think I can go through with the wedding." There was silence. My brain just kind of stalled for a second. An open relationship. Now? 6 months before our wedding, I just looked at her. She had an expression on her face like she was preparing for an explosion. Or maybe she was expecting me to beg and plead with her. Instead, I took a breath, a really deep one. "Okay," I said, just like that. "Okay, Chloe, if that's what you need, then let's do it. An open relationship it is." Her jaw literally dropped. I could see the thoughts racing behind her eyes. This was not the reaction she had been expecting. It was not even close. "Wait, what?" she stammered. You're okay with this?" "Well, you said you needed it, or the wedding would be off," I replied, keeping my voice even. "I don't want the wedding to be off because you feel trapped or unfulfilled. So yes, an open relationship. We should probably set some ground rules, right?" She just stared at me, completely flustered. Yeah, ground rules, sure." But she had not thought that far ahead. I could tell that this was supposed to be her power play. It was her way of getting what she wanted by threatening our wedding. Thinking I would give in, she did not expect me to call her bluff so easily. "Great," I said, getting up from the couch. "Let's both give it some thought, and we can discuss the terms tomorrow. I'm gonna head out for a bit to clear my head." I left her sitting there, looking like a fish out of water. The moment I was out the door, the calmness I had been showing started to crack. It hurt like hell. We had been together for 5 years, and this is what it had come to. An ultimatum. But if this is what she wanted, if this was the test or whatever nonsense she was pulling, then fine. Game on. Update 1. Taking her at her word. 1 week ago. So, after Chloe's bombshell about needing an open relationship and my immediate agreement, things got interesting. The next day, Chloe was still acting weird. It was like she could not quite believe that I was not throwing a fit or begging her to reconsider. She tried to start the ground rules talk, but it was all vague stuff. She talked about being respectful and honest. These were standard things, but it was also clear that she had not thought this through beyond her own desires. I listened, nodded, and agreed to her very loose terms. No curfews. Disclose information if asked. Use protection. It was all basic stuff. She seemed to think that because she was the one who had asked for this, she would be the only one acting on it, or at least she would be the one to act on it first and with the most enthusiasm. Lol. Here is where it gets fun, or not so fun, depending on your perspective. From my perspective, she made the rules. I was just playing the game. I have a pretty good memory for conversations. Over the years, Chloe has often mentioned in passing which of her friends have had crushes on me, or have made comments about me. It was never in a jealous way. It was more like a, "Can you believe Maya said you had nice arms?" kind of way. I filed those comments away in my mind. So, on Wednesday evening, after our ground rules chat, I did a little reaching out of my own. First, I texted Maya. She is 29 and is Chloe's friend from college. She is always bubbly and friendly. I sent her a casual text. "Hey Maya, random question. Are you busy Friday night? Chloe and I are trying this open relationship thing and I figured I'd see if you were free to grab a drink." Her reply was almost instant. "Wait, seriously?" Chloe agreed to this. "OMG, yes, I'm free." Next, I texted Sophie, who is 31. She is one of Chloe's work colleagues. She is a bit more reserved, but we have always had good conversations at group events. My text to her was, "Hey, Sophie, I hope you're having a good week. Chloe and I have decided to explore an open relationship for a bit. Is there any chance you'd be interested in having dinner on Saturday?" Sophie's reply took about an hour. "That's unexpected from Chloe. Are you sure? But yes, dinner sounds intriguing. I'm game." Finally, I reached out to Isabel, who is 30. She is Chloe's childhood best friend. This was the boldest move because Isabel is quite outspoken. My text said, "Isabel, long time no see. Quick heads up, Chloe and I are opening up our relationship. I was wondering if you're around for coffee or something stronger next week. Isabel called me. What in the actual hell? Chloe suggested an open relationship. Is she insane? And you're asking me out? Are she set the terms? Isabel, I said calmly. I'm just seeing who might be interested in a note, strings, attached coffee or drink. It was her idea, her rules. Isabel was silent for a moment. Then she laughed, a genuine loud laugh. You magnificent bastard. Okay, I'm not sure if I'm horrified or impressed, or both. Let me think about it. But damn, text me next week. Spoiler alert, she agreed to a, let's see, drink for Tuesday. So, I had 3 dates lined up, all with her friends. I did not say anything to Chloe right away. I just let her see me on my phone a bit more often, smiling a little. She kept giving me suspicious looks. On Thursday evening, I mentioned casually, oh, by the way, I have a few plans this weekend. I'm just giving you a heads up. Plans? She asked. There was a weird edge to her voice. What kind of plans? I'm just grabbing a drink with Maya tomorrow night, having dinner with Sophie on Saturday, and maybe getting coffee with Isabel next week, I said. I said it like I was just talking about the weather. The color drained from her face. My friends. You asked out my friends. Yeah, I said. Is that a problem? We're in an open relationship, remember? It was your idea. She sputtered. But I didn't think you would actually with them. Why not? I asked. I was genuinely curious at this point. They are attractive, interesting people, and they were available. She just stared at me, her mouth opening and closing. The entitlement was rolling off her in waves. She clearly thought this open relationship was a one-way street. She thought it was a free pass for her, while I was supposed to sit at home, sad and miserable. The shock on her face was, well, it was something. Update 2. The backpedaling begins. 3 days ago. Okay, so things escalated predictably. After I told Chloe about my upcoming dates with Maya, Sophie, and Isabel, she lost it. It was not in a screaming, throwing things kind of way. That is not really her style. It was in a very panicked, this is not how it was supposed to go kind of way. You can't do this, she insisted. Her voice was tight with hysteria that she was barely suppressing. Why not, Chloe? I asked, keeping my tone deliberately mild. You wanted an open relationship. These are the mechanics of an open relationship. Or did you have a different definition in mind? One where only you get to be open? She flinched. No, that's not it. It's just, they're my friends. It's disrespectful. Disrespectful to whom? I countered. To you for taking you at your word. Or to them? They all said yes, by the way. They seemed pretty happy about it. Actually, that last part really got under her skin. I could see it. The next 24 hours were a constant barrage of texts and calls from her. We need to talk. This isn't what I meant. You're trying to hurt me. You have to cancel those dates. I mostly just replied with variations of, Chloe, you were very clear. It was either an open relationship or the wedding is off. I chose the open relationship. Are you now saying you want to call off the wedding? That usually shut her up for a little while. The idea that I might be the one to pull the plug on the wedding, based on her own ultimatum, clearly terrified her. But it was not enough to make her actually admit that she had made a massive miscalculation. Then came the flying monkeys. First, her brother Liam, who is 33, called me. Liam is usually a decent guy, but he is fiercely protective of Chloe, sometimes to a fault. Dude, what are you doing? He started. There was no preamble. Chloe is a wreck. Going on dates with her friends. Seriously, Liam, I said. Chloe gave me an ultimatum. An open relationship, or she wouldn't marry me. I agreed to her terms. What's the issue? Yeah, but an open relationship doesn't mean you go and actively try to hook up with her entire social circle. It's about exploring if the need arises. He sounded like he was repeating something Chloe had told him. So, the need should only arise for her, I asked. And when it does, who should she explore with? Strangers, my friends. What are the acceptable rules here, Liam? Because Chloe was pretty vague. He got huffy. You're being an ass about this. She made a mistake, okay? She didn't think you would react like this. Then she shouldn't have issued an ultimatum that she was not prepared for me to accept, I said. I am just following the rules she laid down. If she wants to change them, she knows how to talk to me. But so far, all I'm hearing is that I'm the bad guy for agreeing with her. Liam grumbled some more about me not being fair and making things difficult before he hung up. Apparently, me being fair means that I should just roll over and accept her demands without having the same freedoms for myself. The entitlement is strong in that family. Chloe then tried a different tactic. Tears. When I got home from work on Friday, just before I was supposed to meet Maya, she was on the sofa, sniffling. I can't believe you're actually going, she whispered, her eyes red. Chloe, I said, sitting down a small distance away from her. I am doing what you said you needed. If you have changed your mind about wanting an open relationship, you need to say so. And if you have, we need to discuss what that means for the wedding, Because your ultimatum was pretty clear. But I don't want this, she cried. I don't want you dating Maya or Sophie or Isabel, so you want to call off the open relationship, I pressed. Yes, no, I don't know, she wailed. I just want you to not go. That's not how this works, Chloe, I said, standing up. You set the terms, I am following them. I'll be back later, and I left. The look on her face was a mixture of fury, despair, and utter disbelief. The date with Maya was nice. We had a couple of cocktails. She admitted that Chloe had been acting erratically lately, and that she was surprised by the whole open relationship thing. But she also said that Chloe had always been a bit of a grass is greener type of person. Maya was fun and easy to talk to. Nothing physical happened beyond a hug goodbye, but it was a pleasant evening. She did say, Chloe is going to lose her mind when she hears you actually went through with this. I just shrugged. Chloe was waiting up for me when I got home. Her arms were crossed and her eyes were narrowed. So, how was your date? She asked. The sarcasm was dripping from her words. It was pleasant, I said, keeping it brief. Maya is good company. Did you sleep with her? Chloe, that is really not something I am going to discuss in detail. Just like I would not expect you to detail your encounters with me. We agreed to disclose if asked, but not to have a full interrogation. It was a first date, a drink. That is all. She looked like she wanted to press the issue, but I just went to the bedroom. The atmosphere in our apartment was ice cold. My dinner with Sophie is next, on Saturday. I have a feeling that Chloe's attempts to shut this down are only going to get more frantic. She really thought she could have her cake and eat it too, without me even glancing at the dessert menu. Update 3. Consequences and confrontations. To today. Well, the saga continues, and the entitlement levels from Chloe have somehow managed to go even higher. My dinner with Sophie on Saturday night went ahead as planned. Sophie is sharp, and she pretty much called Chloe's play from the very beginning. She thought you would fold, didn't she? Sophie said over our appetizers. Chloe loves the idea of being desired by everyone, but she wants you as her safe, stable backup. Ouch. But it was accurate. Dinner was great. The conversation flowed easily. Again, nothing physical happened. It was just good company. Sophie did mention that Chloe had called her earlier that day. She had tried to get her to cancel the date, feeding her some story about how I was misinterpreting things and acting out. Sophie, to her credit, had told Chloe that I had been perfectly clear and that Chloe was the one who had initiated the open relationship idea. When I got home on Saturday night, Chloe was furious. This time, it was not just panicked tears, it was pure anger. You're enjoying this, aren't you? She seethed. You're deliberately trying to humiliate me. Chloe, I am literally just doing what you asked for. Or rather, what you demanded as a condition for our marriage, I said. I was tired of having the same circular argument. You wanted an open relationship. This is an open relationship. If you wanted monogamy, you shouldn't have issued an ultimatum saying otherwise. But I want us, she cried. I want you. I made a mistake. A huge mistake. Can't you see that? I see that you tried to manipulate me, I said. And for the first time, my voice was hard. You put a gun to the head of our wedding, expecting me to beg you to put it down. Instead, I said, okay, your terms, and now you're shocked that I am actually following through with it. So that's it? She asked, her voice cracking. You're just going to keep dating my friends. You're going to destroy our relationship and my friendships just to prove a point. Our relationship was pretty much on life support the moment you gave me that ultimatum. Chloe, and your friendships seem to be fine. Maya and Sophie both seem to understand the situation perfectly. They were more confused by your actions than by mine. Then came the big one. Her mother, Karen, let's call her that, it fits. She called me on Sunday afternoon. I was expecting it. I am so disappointed in you, Ryan, Karen began. Her voice was dripping with condemnation. Chloe is heartbroken. How could you be so cruel as to flaunt other women in her face? Especially her own friends, Karen. I replied, trying to keep my patience. Chloe told me she needed an open relationship or the wedding was off. I agreed to her terms. I am respecting her stated needs, but she didn't mean it like that. Karen insisted. She was just confused. Young women get confused before their weddings. You should have been the bigger person. You should have reassured her, not taken her literally and run off with her friends. The sheer audacity of it all. So, I was supposed to psychically know that her explicit ultimatum was not what she really meant, and being the bigger person involves letting her dictate terms that only apply to her. I don't think so, Karen. Chloe is an adult. She made an adult decision, and she is now seeing the adult consequences of that decision. Karen huffed about how I was immature and vindictive and how I was ruining everything. She said that Chloe was now saying she wanted to call off the open relationship and the wedding because I had betrayed her trust. Betrayed her trust by checking my notes, doing exactly what Chloe had insisted upon. The mental gymnastics are at an Olympic level. Chloe herself has been alternating between sobbing apologies, angry accusations that I have planned this all along to get out of the wedding, and desperate pleas to just make it stop. She said she wants to call off the open relationship. I said to her, okay, we can call off the open relationship, but Chloe, the ultimatum you gave me, that is not something I can just forget. You were willing to end our marriage over this supposed need. What happens the next time you feel confused or feel like you need more? She had no answer for that, just more tears. My date with Isabel is tomorrow, on Tuesday. Isabel texted me this morning. Heard the drama is epic. Still on for that drink. I'm bringing popcorn, metaphorically speaking. I am still calm, but underneath it all, there is a part of me that is just done. This was not a simple miscommunication. This was a calculated move by Chloe, expecting me to crumble. Her shock is not that the relationship is open. It is that I am participating in it. The wedding is looking less and less likely. Not because of the open relationship, but because the trust is just gone. She showed her hand, and it was not a good one. Final update. The dust settles. 1 month later. It has been a whirlwind, but I guess it is time to close this chapter out for anyone who has been following along. My drink with Isabel happened. It was enlightening. Isabel is incredibly blunt. She basically confirmed what Sophie had hinted at. Chloe has a history of this kind of thing. She tests boundaries, she wants what she cannot have, and she expects other people to adjust to her whims. Isabel did not hold back on her opinion of Chloe's ultimatum. She called it incredibly stupid and selfish. We actually had a decent time. There was no romance. It was just a very honest conversation. Isabel did say that she was surprised I had called Chloe's bluff so thoroughly. Most guys would have either freaked out or just sulked. She commented. After that meeting, I sat Chloe down for a talk. There were no more games, and no more of her tears being the main event. Chloe, I started, this whole open relationship thing. You said you wanted to call it off. I agree. It is off. I saw a flicker of hope in her eyes, but I continued. The fact that you issued that ultimatum, an open relationship or the wedding is off, that is the real issue here. You were ready to throw away 5 years, our entire future, because you supposedly needed this. And when I called you on it, your only problem was that I was also participating, not that the idea itself was so damaging. She started to interrupt. But I didn't mean for you to. It doesn't matter what you meant for me to do, Chloe. I cut her off, calmly but firmly. It matters what you said, what you demanded. You showed me that you are willing to detonate our life together on a whim, or as a manipulation tactic. I cannot build a marriage on that foundation. So, I told her the wedding is off, for real this time. From my end, her reaction was a lot to handle. First, there was disbelief. Then there was anger. How dare I call it off, after she was the one who was willing to forgive me for my awful behavior. Those were her words referring to me dating her friends, which she had demanded I be free to do. Then came the begging, the promises that it would never happen again, and that she had learned her lesson. Her brother, Liam, tried to intervene again. He said I was overreacting, that all couples have these pre-wedding jitters and weird fights. I told him that this was not the jitters. This was a fundamental betrayal of trust and a display of appalling selfishness from Chloe. Even her mother called my mom to try and get her to talk some sense into me. My mom, bless her heart, told Karen that I am a grown man who makes his own decisions. And that from what I had told her, Chloe had made her bed and now had to lie in it. The fallout for Chloe has been significant. Maya and Sophie are definitely keeping their distance from her. They both told me separately that Chloe had tried to badmouth me to them, painting herself as the victim. But they saw through it. And Isabel was never one to mince her words. Apparently, she told Chloe exactly what she thought of her actions and it was not pretty. So, Chloe's power play not only cost her the relationship, but it also severely damaged her friendships. Good. That is what happens when you treat people like pawns in your own game. We are in the process of disentangling everything now. We are canceling the vendors and figuring out who gets what from the apartment. We are both moving out. There is no way I am staying there. It is messy and expensive, but honestly, every cancellation fee is a small price to pay for dodging that bullet. I have had moments of sadness for the relationship I thought we had. A little bit of anger still lingers, sure, but mostly, I feel relief and a strange sense of calm. I did not explode. I did not beg. I just took her at her word, played by the rules she set, and let the natural consequences unfold. She engineered her own downfall. I am not looking to date anyone right now, and definitely not any of Chloe's former friends. That was just a means to an end, a way to mirror her own stated desires. They were all cool about it. They understood the dynamic. I am focusing on myself now, hitting the gym and reconnecting with my own friends. I am moving on. Chloe, from what I hear, is miserable. She is apparently telling anyone who will listen that I am a cold, manipulative monster who tricked her. Some of her more distant acquaintances might believe her. Her family predictably supports her narrative. But the people who mattered, the ones who saw it unfold or were directly involved, they know the truth. She gambled, and she lost. End of story. Thanks for letting me vent, Reddit. It has been weirdly therapeutic to lay it all out. Onwards and upwards, I guess.